And trial attorney Michael Jaafar. Michael, I'm excited to get your analysis of this case, what you think about a case that doesn't have a body, but it seems like the evidence is borderline overwhelming against this defendant. Are you surprised we are in a trial for a case like this?
Yeah, here's what I'm really surprised at. I feel like the state gave themselves an immense burden in this case by coupling the kidnap. So what they did was they're charging him with murder, but they also coupled it with a kidnapping, which made it a capital murder. Here's why that puzzles me and why I think that might be problematic for them, Julia, is because of the fact that the case is completely circumstantial. There's no body, there's no DNA evidence. Obviously, you don't need a body or DNA evidence to overcome your burden, but to have a charge. But it is difficult. You give yourself more difficulties. You're coming into this case as a state, and then you give yourself an extra bigger hurdle, which is to couple the murder with a kidnapping. So I think that might be problematic for them with a circumstantial case, because what the defense is going to do when they come on, when they begin their case in chief, is they're going to come back and say, okay, so you didn't find the body within a 5-mile radius, a 10-mile radius, and you told us how hard you worked to find the body. Well, the evidence that you used to connect the defendant Herrington's person to where you think the crime happened, well, you can't find that, 7 miles away, 10 miles away. So what happened to the body? If he committed this murder and you could not ping his cell phone tower, 20 miles away, 30 miles away, how come, why would you think that he hid the body 20, 30, 40 miles away? You couldn't find it. So I think that the circumstantial evidence is going to be difficult for them because of the fact that they coupled it with the kidnapping. It's very difficult to prove kidnapping and murder without any DNA evidence, without any body, without any physical evidence, without any witnesses. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no crime scene. They don't have any evidence of a struggle, of anything amiss happening inside of Herrington's apartment or anywhere that they presume this crime happened. If he did what they are accusing him of, it does seem like he's pretty young to have the knowledge to completely get rid of a body, where law enforcement officers haven't to this day been able to find any trace of Jay Lee. Do you think down the road, are there any scenarios where the family of Jay Lee may get some answers, may get to discover those remains through the criminal justice system, or is it just going to be if law enforcement is able to finally find him?
This is a college campus. They'll find the body. And if Herrington did, in fact, do this, he's not a criminal mastermind. I mean, he searched on the internet how to strangle a person 30, 40 minutes before this supposed murder happened, right? They're going to find the body. We're not talking about a criminal mastermind. We're not talking about a spy. We're talking about, a kid who, if he did this, there's no way he would have. I mean, you saw the detective here that's on the stand right now. These are professional people that do this for a living. Timothy Herrington is not. He's not one of those people. If, in fact, he did this, there's no way he's going to be able to overcome the search for this body. Now, we might never find the body, and we might have a conviction here, and then they will have the answers, because at the end of the day, just the phone evidence and the Snapchat history and the proximity of these people and the motivation, just that alone will make you feel, if you get a conviction, you'll live with that and say, this is the murderer of my son. And you'll just move on with it. It's a very sad story, but it might end up that way.
It's such a difficult case, certainly, for this family. Michael Jaafar, stand by. We are going to get to a break and come back with more testimony in that case against Herrington, but also Court TV's own Cody Thomas is going to join us live in the studio with the latest developments in this story, that fatal shooting of a Kentucky district judge inside his own chambers. Michael Jaafar still with us as we watch this case play out. The state has rested their case in chief, so we're going to soon be knowing what the defense is going to do. Michael Jaafar, this argument, which we know comes after any time the prosecution rests, the defense makes this motion. He sounds like he's saying what you were saying. Separate these two. They can't prove the kidnapping.
Yeah, the kidnapping. I was puzzled as to why the state came in with the kidnapping, because they didn't need the kidnapping. They coupled it to make it a capital murder, right? Murder is serious enough, right? They weren't going to be charging him with a traffic ticket. They were going to be charging him with an unjustified murder, but then they coupled it with the kidnapping, which to me puzzled me, because, Julie, look, the states have to do the best they can to put people behind bars and get justice for the family, right? Clearly, the state believes Timothy Herrington did this. Obviously, that's why we're here. But why they put the kidnapping, given the fact that this case is purely circumstantial, no body, no evidence, no witnesses, no DNA, no blood. They didn't find, like, underneath Timothy Herrington's fingernails, the DNA of Jay. They didn't find any of that, right? So to me, the kidnapping based on Snapchat messages and texting and come here and come to my, it just, to me, boggled me. Do I think the directed verdict is going to work? No, I don't think it's going to work. Does the attorney have to do it? He has to do it.
Now that we're going into the defense case very soon, your thoughts on if Herrington will hurt himself if he takes the stand, knowing that there's a lot of evidence that suggests he is the killer?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. As a defense attorney, you know your customer better than anybody else. They've had private conversations with this young man. They already know whether or not he's going to testify, and they already know whether or not he would hold up well on cross-examination. I don't think he should testify because of the fact that there's no body found. I think they're just going to challenge the evidence, not let him testify.
We will see what happens. Michael Jaafar, you're sticking around. Thank you for your analysis this hour. We're going to head in the next hour to Las Vegas. Redden, the jumping assailant on the judge, is being sentenced for that infamous attack.
Bring in our experts. Still with us this hour, trial attorney Michael Jaafar. Michael, always great to have you on. Thank you for staying with us for this hour. And this sentencing hearing, we have been waiting to see what happens. Tell me your thoughts as we watched Redden walk into the courtroom, smiling, a huge smile on his face as he entered the courtroom. He looked at somebody in the gallery, gave them a huge smile, and now is listening to the state as they are saying, we want him detained as long as possible, Judge, under all 7 of these guilty but mentally ill pleas.
I had PTSD watching it, Judge Ashley. So when I was a younger attorney, I was a public defender for a while. And you would sit through sentencing after sentencing after sentencing. Judge Ashley, I had that sentencing memorized before he leaped over the bench like a bat to attack her, right? So at the end of the day, him walking into the courtroom today, looking at the gallery, smiling, that's just, he's on brand, basically. He's definitely has mental health issues. Look at that leap. He was like possessed. He definitely has mental health issues, so that's why he was smiling at the gallery. He was probably smiling at a bench, or maybe somebody, or maybe nobody. But at the end of the day, they're gonna slam him with a nice sentence. People have to understand something. Our jails are littered with men like this. Our jails are littered with men who have serious mental health issues, right? They don't know right from wrong. They don't know what's happening. Every day is a different day. When they wake up every day and they open their eyes, they are a different person. They see different things. Our jails are filled with people like this, right? And so at the end of the day, unfortunately, we use the jails to treat mental health issues. He's going to be number 10 million in the system by the end of the day, and he'll be basically being treated with mental health for his mental health issues by being thrown into a cell and perhaps given some medication. But what happened here was heinous. But those sentencings happen thousands and thousands of times every day. They don't end with somebody leaping over the bench. But that's essentially what the viewers are looking at right now. They're looking at something that's very routine, but it went off the walls for a little bit. With him leaping over the bench and hitting the judge, which that doesn't happen every day, obviously.
It does not. His sheer physicality, watching, I mean, him to do what he did physically, the athleticism there. But I do want to say, to your point, the state's making the argument, look, Judge, the only time he didn't commit a new crime is during the time he's been detained. That says a lot. All right, you're going to stay with us, Michael. Coming up next, still with us, trial attorney Michael Jaafar. Michael, to your point, his own attorney is saying, listen, when he is not on mental health medications that he needs, then he cannot control his behavior. If he's on the medications, then he can control his behavior. In jail, you actually released him when he wasn't on his medications, basically, I think, arguing nobody even gave this kid a fair shot.
100% agree with you, Judge Ashley, and I completely agree with everything that the attorney just said, right? Here's the thing. He pled guilty by guilty but mentally ill, right? Which in Nevada they call it GBMI, right? This is different because what happens is in Nevada is this is the state's chance and attempt to balance public safety with getting proper mental health treatment for people who need it. This young man clearly needs it. You saw his allocution to the judge. I didn't do anything wrong. I don't know why they're attacking my character. And when she told me, you're going to get a taste of something else, all I saw was red. You and I were on this show about a year ago when this first happened, and we talked about this, and I told you, when she said, you're going to get a taste of something different, there was a long history between this defendant and that judge, and it led up to that moment, and she had given him chance after chance after chance, and he lied to her multiple times, and so he knew that she was on to him when she said that, and that's why he said today, all I saw was red. So at the end of the day, when he gets sentenced to prison, I know this judge is going to give him incarceration plus mental health evaluation, mental health treatment. He needs it. Will it fix this person's life? Probably not. Something happened at the proper developmental stage while he was growing up where his brain synapses just fired wrong, and here's who he is. And in the prison system, most of the people are just like this young man. It's sad, but yeah, I think we know how this story ends, and it's going to end today. And I feel bad for everybody involved.
But I would push back and say the other part of it is probation. Even if he has to serve time and then have probation, you can, as a judge, make part of the terms of probation that you have to maintain. You have to continue on your mental health medication, going to therapy, et cetera, to have check-ins to make sure he's receiving that treatment. Would you agree? I just have about 5 seconds.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, that's a big part of it. Yeah, it's a big part of it. I agree.
They need that continuing treatment. Thanks, Michael Jaafar, for joining me. Coming up next, Michael Ayala, and we will have more from the sentencing hearing from Deobra Redden. Plus, Court TV's Kelly Craft joins us for a live update on the suspect arrested in the shooting death of CEO.